times already. I figured this was enough. I went on to start getting fired from other places, like call centers and stuff.
Okay, all right. Well, resilience,
Yes.
grit.
And I can type.
How fast can you type?
Wow, I haven't been asked that in so long. I would say maybe 30. Is that
That's
bad or good? 30 words per minute or 20? I don't know. I haven't done that in a while, but I know all of my key. I know where everything goes. Like
I'm going to be honest. That's okay. That's okay.
Thanks.
But it's hard with nails to type.
Oh no,
also.
I didn't have nails at that time when I was doing that.
Okay.
We had to type very fast because once the person gets off the phone, you already have to have all the data in the system. So while you're talking, you're kind of like, oh, okay, thank you. You have to type everything before they get off the phone, because if they hang up the phone and you didn't put the data in, someone calls right back in, and you have to take that call. Now, when that customer calls back, their information isn't updated, and they're going to start yelling and screaming. So, yeah.
I was not expecting, by the way, this conversation to go this direction.
It's a good direction.
We talked about words per minute. We talked about Red Lobster. We talked about pen theft. I know what I'm sending you for Christmas, a box of pens. It's happening. So on Instagram, you have over 220 million followers, which is a lot of people, guys. As someone who works at Instagram, let me tell you, that's a lot. And 500,000 people on your broadcast channel alone. I think this is reflective of the passion that your fans have for you. Can you talk a little bit about fan culture? When did you first realize that your fan culture would be a true movement?
That's a great question. I think before I signed and actually had a record deal, my fans were making a moment for themselves on Twitter. I had already given them a name. In fact, do you know that all these artists that give their fans names now, like when I started calling my fans the Barbs, there were no rappers naming their fans. There were only 2 people at that time, and I don't know which came first. I know Justin Bieber and Lady Gaga. They had Beliebers and Monsters. Those were that was it. That was it. Now every single human being that becomes an artist gives their fans a name. Even artists in other countries, I didn't even know that. Like some of the African artists that I love, when I would look into them, they would have names for their fan base. And I was like, whoa, yeah. So I didn't think it was something that would spread to the hip-hop community at all. But it doesn't matter, because the Barbs are still superior. They are different because what they do is they do it with passion. If you do anything, it has to be rooted in love. So sometimes people do things and it's rooted in revenge or vengeance. And that doesn't really go anywhere. It doesn't take off. It does something for a moment, but that's that. But because the Barbs and I we really love each other, and also because they actually like my music, which people forget now too, that music is what's being sold. So if you do everything else right and you don't know how to make music or write a great song, it doesn't matter how big your butt is. It doesn't matter what brands you wear. In the root of everything has to be the talent and the passion. Understanding what you do and why. If you're only doing it to compete, it's going to come and go. Because the universe doesn't honor that. It honors that passion that you've always had inside of you, that you know that you're put here to do something. And you do it with all of yourself. You love doing it, that thing. Like music always seemed to be my rescue, my place, my go-to place, I came from another country, Trinidad, and when we came to New York, it was scary being an immigrant and speaking differently. And back then, you know how kids are. They would definitely tease you if you have an accent and stuff like that, or what you eat and all that stuff. Like when I went to my first school trip, my mother didn't know you were supposed to buy like a hero from the corner store to go to the trip. So she sent me with a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and all the kids laughed.
Oh. You can't even do peanut butter in school trips anymore. It has to be sun butter.
Really?
Like because of peanut allergies. Oh. I know this because I packed for a field trip. Now I'm paranoid I didn't get her, you know, a sandwich from the corner store. Maybe my kid's a social pariah.
Nice.
I should have done that.
Nice. But yeah, so we didn't know anything about American culture, and we had to learn as we went along. But at that time, that was my first album, so I didn't even think anybody was gonna buy my first album. So it ended up, it broke huge records, and I was thinking, oh no one knows me. It's not gonna sell. No one's gonna hear it. But yeah.
Well, in like about a decade later, you did end up on the cover of Vogue in a full circle moment. And first of all, I think on your speed dial, you should change Anna's name to Baby Girl. I'm just putting that out there.
Okay.
And secondly, I'd like to hear a little bit for this audience that's fashion obsessed. We've been seeing this amazing slideshow of images of your fashion evolution. That was a decade ago. How do you feel like your confidence in fashion and self-expression has evolved?
Well, you know what? Someone told me years ago, a few different women in my life, at different times in my life, told me, when you get to a certain age, you're going to be so happy. The things that you used to worry about and think about and care about, you won't anymore. You'll have this confidence. And I said, no, you know, I was sweating the small stuff, so to speak, you know. And of course, they were all right. They were all right. What happens is you realize that who cares? Like, who cares about most of the things that we spend time worrying about or thinking about if someone said something about us or what comment someone left on the internet about us? You realize, wait a minute, I have all these blessings in my life and I'm choosing to focus on people who don't like me or like, you know, it just, anyway, so that confidence when you turn a certain age, I feel like when you turn 30, 40, 50, you know, I think like milestone ages, right? Especially for women, your confidence just grows and grows and grows. And also, this is true and every woman knows it. You also know what looks good on your body. You start knowing what hairstyle fits your face, what makeup fits your face. You just, start understanding yourself better. And when you understand yourself better, you forgive yourself. You're able to love yourself. And you're able to love the imperfections that you never loved before. I couldn't look at old photos of myself before. And when I look at them now, I love them. I don't know what was going on in my brain at that time that made me feel that way. But, thank goodness it left. And I hope all girls everywhere, girls or boys everywhere, I hope that you know that one day you're going to look back at those pictures that you hate and you're going to realize, oh, my God, look how beautiful, look how pretty, look how cute I was. So do it now. Like, love yourself now. That's what I would say about that. Because that's how I really feel right now.
I love that. You have a lyric about shooting with Karl Lagerfeld.
Yes.
Before his passing. I know that you were one of the last shoots that he did. Can you talk a little bit about that for the fashion fans in the audience?
Sure. I don't know why meeting him, I was very nervous, of course. Well, you know why, of course. It was him. But he made me feel so welcome. He was very warm.
Very funny.
He's funny. He's obviously very smart. But one of the things I will never forget about him is how fast he knows if we have the picture or not. And I said, oh, my God, because I always feel like that. I always feel like you don't need to take 100 pictures. You don't need to take 300 pictures, right? But some photographers just like having it because they're like, you never know when the magic's going to happen. But with Karl, he knew, and he would take 5 pictures and he would say, and then, or he would take 10 pictures and say, we got it. And
he would do a thumbs up.
Yes, he would say, we got it. But he wasn't very loud. He was very suave. He had his shades on, his fly clothes.
Oh.
He looked very, very fly in person every time I ever saw him. But for that photo shoot, I just remember how he didn't need a lot of time to think about if we have something special or not. So for that photo shoot, there was one outfit that we didn't use, but he knew within 2 minutes. Nope, it's not gonna work. Bye, take it off. I was like, okay. But I loved him. I loved him before I knew him. I loved his work before I knew him. Never thought I would have the opportunity to be photographed by him, to be honest. Never, ever in a billion years saw that coming, but another blessing.
Well, your career has been, and your life has been a series through incredibly hard work of these milestone, never thought I would ever fill in the blank moments. What's left? I mean, is there anything left?
Another great question.
I'm asking the deep ones. That's why I'm here.
Yeah, why not? Aren't we all tired of the non-deep questions and the fluff and the nonsense?
Oh, don't worry, I have that too.
Oh, okay. Well, what's next is, focusing on my son. Because I love him so much.
Well, that was actually my next question, because you have a lot of nicknames. You love a nickname. Queen of Rap, Roman, Nikki Lewinsky, Nikki the Ninja, Nikki the Boss. The list goes on, Nikki the Harajuku Barbie. But I feel like your favorite nickname is probably Mom or Mommy, right? And I know you have a 4-year-old son. That's a crazy age. I have 3 kids, 10, 7, and 3.
Oh, my gosh. So you know exactly what I'm going through right now. Oh, my gosh. Anybody with toddlers? Oh, my gosh.
There's like 2 people. There's only 2 people in the room.
Do you guys have children and you remember what the toddler stage was like? I wish I had people to help me. The thing is, I was pregnant during COVID, right?
Yeah.
And it was at the time when it was the scariest time of COVID because we didn't know how dangerous it was. And I didn't want anyone to fly in from New York because I didn't want to be responsible for a loved one going on the plane and getting COVID. So I didn't even let anyone fly into Cali to help me. Mm-hmm. But now I realize you do need women that have had children to I made a lot of mistakes with that. But I remember everybody telling me, oh, toddler age, it's going to be some of the most fun stuff you've ever experienced. It's gonna be a lot because they are very, but it's true. Every single day, and this did not happen before my son was born. The first thing when I wake up and I look at and I see him, I'm in a good mood. That's the only thing that when I experience in the morning, because you know how when you get up in the morning, you think about all the things you have to do, and you think about all the things you didn't do, and then you think about, oh my God, this is gonna, like, you just worry, in the morning, instead of saying, I'm going to be amazing today, everything's gonna go in my favor today, things are gonna work out today. Most of the times we wake up, before we even get out of bed, we're just worrying. And once I had my son, that changed for me, because he would either run in my room or I would go in his room, and when I see him, he's just so sweet. So I have no choice but to light up when I see him. And I think I needed to learn that. I think I needed to learn to be just grateful, just to wake up, just for the day, just for nothing else but the people that you have around you in your home, or the people who you can count on, people who love you, just for nothing else. As opposed to waking up thinking, I didn't get this yet, and I didn't get this yet, and I want this amount of money this year, and I don't. That's what I was doing every other time. But since my son got here, it's different. And then once I stopped all of that worrying, I was able to finally write this last album and complete it to my standards, and felt like it was great enough for my fans. So I guess what I'm saying is, whatever you do in life, the moment you let go, it's the moment everything comes to you, right? Like, I don't know if anyone understands. Like, the moment you have nothing to prove, or you're not chasing anyone or anything, or you're not, like, in need, everything comes. You just attract things. And I always tell people, being broke is a state of mind. I'm sure every single person in here knows someone who may have had the same amount of money as you growing at a certain age, but something about them, they always presented themselves or made people looked at them as if they had more, because they knew they would get it eventually. So they kind of walked around with this thing about them. And yeah.
This was extremely philosophical, guys. I am like soaking this up. I feel like you could write, truly, you had people transfixed, and that was very profound. Truly, and I feel embarrassed to ask my fluffy questions now.
No,
about like how motherhood has changed your style, because I am curious, because I saw on Instagram you had a picture where you're wearing all white and your son is wearing all white, and as a mother of a toddler, how are you wearing all white with a toddler?
No, I had just come home from a show. And he does this thing where he wants to make sure, while we were on tour, he didn't want to like ever have his sneakers off, or he would be completely dressed thinking like, okay, just in case they're getting in the bus or the plane or whatever, I want to be there. Because he thinks like he's a rock star, like he's living that life and going out, going on the bus all the time. But he was dressed when I came back from my show. It was like 2:00 in the morning.
Aww.
And he wants to always be dressed. I've never seen any kid do that. He wakes up in the morning before he eats breakfast. He puts on clothes.
Whoa.
And a hat.
A hat? Tell me about the hat. Baseball cap, fedora?
Yeah.
A newsboy?
Like a fitted cap. He wears he puts those on every morning. He wakes up and he goes straight to his clothes. He wants to be dressed. We don't know where he's going. When he was 1, we saw him going like this, like like looking at us from the corner of his eye and acting as if he was about to go through the laundry room and like escape from our house. He was one and some change. I never knew a child could be like slick.
I'm not surprised, though. You're a child. Come on. I love that. So I believe we have time for two.
Oh, but I'm
questions.
sorry, Mama.
Oh,
My
go.
fashion did change. My fashion choices, not necessarily with my son, but the lyrics I write started to weigh heavier on my mind once I had a child. And even while I was pregnant, I couldn't write certain things. I just felt like ill. But I don't think it's necessarily that I have a child that changed my style. I think it's just growing up, evolving, and like I said, loving yourself more so you can be a little bit understated. I think when I was doing all of the bigger stuff, it was to cover up something else, you know? But I'm still sporty sometimes and sexy sometimes. I love wearing comfortable stuff, to be honest.
The heels today don't seem comfortable. They're low, though. They're like 4 inches.
They're a lot with the heavy coat.
I was about to say.
It was
this
a lot.
Is it thick? Is it scaparelli? Is it like it's very thick and heavy? I like.
I know this wall is.
Are we about to do a fit check?
This wall is a liar, but
it's scaparelli.
Yes, it is.
We saw the scaparelli.
Who's absolutely one of my faves.
I love.
Yes.
Okay, so because I know that there are audience members with questions, we're gonna go. I cannot see a thing because we have bright lights. We're gonna start here with. Let's start with the young lady. Move back, and you guys have the world's. Like you got to talk real fast.
Hi, Nikki. I love you.
Mama.
Okay, so one of the things I admire about you is that you're always speaking up when there's injustices. So how did you get the confidence to advocate for yourself, especially as a Black woman in a male-dominated industry? Clock it.
Well, speaking up for anything is hard. No matter how brave a person seems, they're just like you. They're just like everyone else. It's scary. But I don't know. I always had to be around men to be a rapper. I would always be the only girl there most of the time. But I have a very masculine vibe when I need to. So I think that's why I was able to do well in this space. But in terms of speaking up for injustice, I was always like that since I was in school, since I was in elementary school. I was one of those kids, like if I saw someone being bullied in school, I would say, no. You know, I was always like that. I always take up for people. So that's never going to change.
You. And then I think there was a question.
Hello. Hi.
Oh, hi. Yes.
You collaborated with a lot of people. Madonna, Drake. I mean, the list goes on and on. Who challenged you the most, both on the music or fashion side?
That's a good question. Thank you.
Yeah, that was a great question. Definitely on the fashion side, I would say Madonna for the Super Bowl. And I ended up loving what she came up with. But I remember walking into like the Super Bowl thing. They were rehearsing, and I had to perform with her. And I didn't believe how many people were there just for clothes. And I thought it was for Madonna, but they were for her dancers. And like she had like 10 different outfits just for her dancers alone to choose from. And I was like, oh my God, this woman has a lot of money because this is crazy. and you know, she was very like, and which I am like that too. Anything, like all the dancers around me, whatever, I want to look at them and see exactly how it looks, or the people in my video. So she was very fixated on things like that, and I ended up loving what I wore, what she chose for me to wear at the Super Bowl. In terms of challenging me musically, I had writer's block after having my son. And the song Seeing Green is the first song, which features Drake and Wayne, is the first song that I wrote and completed after having the baby. And I was so scared because not one thing could come to me for months and months and months. And then Drake sent me this song, and I'm like, uh-oh, now what am I going to do? Am I going to be a baby, or am I going to rise to the challenge? And I kept sending him different verses, and he and I would both be like, it's missing this or it's missing that or whatever. And then I ended up finally getting a verse that he loved and I loved, but it was very, very challenging. I didn't know that after you have a baby, things that came so naturally to you could change, you know. I had no clue, but my brain felt so different, you know.
I think they just started studying a woman's brain during and after pregnancy. Can you believe in like all this time, last year was the first time they studied a woman's brain during pregnancy, and it's proven that the brain like permanently changes after. So, but you were still...
Are you serious?
Yeah, but you're still able to be incredibly creative and productive, just in a different way.
Wow.
So I think, unfortunately, that is all we have time for. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom.
Thank you for
your philosophy.
Thank you.
It's great to reunite with you. You can give me another makeover anytime.
I love how you look now.
Feel
you do not
free.
need a makeover.
And enjoy your afternoon, everyone. And let's give Nicki another huge round of applause.
Guys, thank you so much. Thank you for checking this.